recognizing when I'm in control and when I shouldn't be in control, specifically within my community and within the prison setting at Baylor. There's a lot of things that I want to have control over and things that I need to recognize that aren't mine to control. And there's been manifesting itself in a lot of different ways in the prison and then in the community, recognizing I can't change people, but I can change myself, and letting go of that desire to change other people and just focusing in on me. The greatest joy so far with ministry and with life in general with FEM, I think, is just the shared experiences in the community, being able to sit around the table at the end of the day, just joking and enjoying each other's company, whether it's throwing napkin rings at each other after the meal or sumo wrestling in the living room after prayer. It's just that constant source of fun that we find in spending time with each other. And it's not always pretty, but there is always that joy that comes back to it at the end of every day. And then waking up each morning recognizing I can do this all over again, and really sourcing a desire to just live and serve people from that joy we have in living together. My favorite ministry, hands down, has to be my ESL class at St. Paul's Parish. I have a group of, I think, 7 or 8 students, and there's actually a family that has been coming pretty regularly. I have the intro-level ESL class, and an older couple, their daughter, and then their grandson. The grandson's only 4, but he comes to class just to hang out. And there's actually an instance a couple weeks ago where he was involved in the class pretty intently. Everyone else was writing stuff down. And one of the things I do in the class is try and encourage them by showing that I still can't speak Spanish either. And when they're struggling with different sounds in the English language, I show them that I still can't roll my R's, even though I've been trying to learn forever. And so I was demonstrating that I can't roll my R's. And little Angel, who's about 4, sits there and just like shakes his head, like, no! And then rolls his R's perfectly. And he's like, do it like this. I'm like, ugh. He's like, no, 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 no! And then starts continuing rolling his R's. This goes back and forth for about 15 minutes of him trying to teach me and just the class laughing hysterically and finding that joy in learning and trying to learn and struggling through our own difficulties and reaching that greater understanding. It's been a really fun environment just to live and learn together. One of the people I draw the most inspiration from is actually a member of the young adult group at St. Paul's Parish, a guy named Lalo, who's currently been helping me out with the ESL class as well. But just the joy that he brings to everything he does really inspires me to continue to love so selflessly. We were part of a play for celebrating the feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe. He was the bishop and I was one of the friars, and just the constant back and forth, constant dialogue. He knows English pretty well, I still can't speak Spanish, and just watching that friendship develop and seeing that even he has a job, we have ministries, and he brings the same kind of love to everything he does that we use in our ministries and not always show in everything else in our lives. And he's just a constant source of so much love and so much joy. And being able to be around something like that and just soak it in and be like, I want to do this. I want to be able to share this kind of love and affection with everyone I meet, and so openly and so willingly. It's very inspiring. Probably the biggest change in my vision of the program is recognizing how much ministering to yourself is roped into ministering to others. You need to be able to take care of yourself in order to share this love and ministry with other people. And you can't be all you can be in the prison setting or at ESL or in the hospital unless you yourself have some grounding, and being able to come back to that you're the person that you spend the most time with. Being able to find support within yourself and with God, and really taking that relationship is so important to how you live out in your ministries. And just recognizing that it's not just all about serving others. You have to be willing to serve yourself too in order to be effective. Probably the biggest change in myself has just been greater self-awareness. I was recently back on on my college campus, Villanova, last weekend actually. And one of my friends shared this image that I thought was very appropriate for FEM. This idea that living in community is kind of like being stones in the pockets of God, where a group of random people with their own sharp edges, their own smooth sides, are thrown together and jumbled together, and they rub against each other in very different ways. And it's that hitting against each other that smooths down the sides and helps you recognize your own jagged edges. And through living in community, through being involved in these various ministries, I've started to recognize what jagged edges I have and letting them start to be smoothed down. So greater self-awareness is probably the biggest way I've changed.